I'm Simon. I was 40 years old last year when I was diagnosed with motor neuron disease. I started noticing symptoms about this time last year in May 2023. I had twitching in my left shoulder and a weakness in my left hand, and that slowly got worse and spread. And in about 4 weeks, I'd been diagnosed by a local neurologist after doing an EMG scan. So for me, it was a really quick process. I think initially I didn't think too much about it because we all get twitching once in a while, that happens. After it started spreading, I did the classic thing of doing a Dr. Google, and then you're obviously terrified, right? So I from that point on, I was convinced that that's what it was, even if no one else around me was. I think as it slowly got worse, I became more certain that I knew. And by the time I got diagnosed, to be honest, I'd already come to the same conclusion. The day of diagnosis is probably the worst day of my life. I was there with my wife, and there was no good way of giving that message. It was a very difficult message to receive, and you go into crisis mode. You think that you've got weeks to live. You think it's going to go incredibly quickly. You see the end state around you on the internet, and you assume that's what you're going to end up like very quickly. So for 6 months or so, I crashed. I just crashed. But there's a whole support team that comes in from the NHS to here at Dorothy House to swoop in and pick you up from that point. And so gradually, slowly, day by day, things started to improve mentally, even as my physical health was declining. It's a funny thing, I'm 41 years old. I never expected to be going to a hospice for many years to come. When the local specialist practitioner came round and I saw she was from Dorothy House and she mentioned she was from a hospice, I just wasn't interested, because hospices are things you go to when you're going to die, and I didn't want to die. I wasn't planning to anytime soon. But it soon turned out that the whole in-life services that you get from a place like Dorothy House were hugely helpful to me and my family, and will remain so up until I play this disease out. So it's really an in-life service as much as an end-of-life service, and I didn't appreciate that at the time. One of the great things that Dawn, the local specialist practitioner, does is raise early on your wills and your advanced directives, decisions that need to be made around assistive technologies and interventions that can help prolong your life. It's a lot of admin, it's a lot of decisions to make and forms to fill in, but I'd rather be doing it whilst I can have time to think about it and I'm able to do it, rather than as a last minute urgent issue which suddenly needs to be solved. So I think it's better to try and deal with those issues up front, and that's what Dorothy House has helped us navigate. So we've taken advantage of quite a few things, actually. First of all, it's in an absolutely gorgeous setting, and we're always welcome to come here whenever we like. So it's a very peaceful, supportive environment. But also they offer several things for our family and for our mental health, right? So my wife does counselling here. I've seen a child psychologist who works here as well to help us work through the impact on our son. We're doing creative keepsakes, where together as a family we're building something physical to store memories in of all the things we love to do. And I'm also doing life stories, which is another service which helps me record important moments from my life for future generations. Some people store pictures or memorabilia in a box. Other people, it's about music and playlists and recording what felt meaningful to them. For me, I'm going to try and make a series of videos, particularly for my son, so that he learns more about me and my views on life in case he has those questions later on. So it's a very flexible service that I think each patient molds into a shape that suits them. Your initial thought is it's just an end-of-life service, right? But actually there's this bit before, and now you're saying the bit after, that makes it this whole journey to support me and everyone connected to me throughout the whole thing, which is wonderful. Really important for me is keeping independence for as long as I can, building memories with those that I love, while I can still do the exciting adventures that I can still do, and just planning for the future, trying to stay one step ahead of the progression so that I'm not left stuck indoors and unable to get out, or unable to make those memories that are so important to me, right? So it's a strange way. I think you've got to hope for the best and keep planning for the worst. It's very hard. It's incredibly hard. It's like doublethink. You've got to imagine that you're going to wake up one day and it'll be cured, while simultaneously thinking, okay, I'm not going to be able to move my legs, arms, speak, eat, breathe, and that it happens so fast. It's just a really typically quickly progressing disease, which is partly what creates the mental impact, right? Because if you had more time to get used to things as they progress, you could cope a bit better. But the speed at which this thing goes really means that you struggle mentally to prepare yourself for it. Everyone's got to be ready when they're ready, right? But for me, I couldn't have done it soon enough. When I think back on it now, engaging with the team at Dorothy House, coming on site, seeing what's available here, and actually taking part in the activities and the services that they provide. For me, it's been really helpful just to be around people that understand the condition, that are going through a similar thing, and have set up a gorgeous environment here, full of really fulfilling things to do, to help me work through it. I'm only really a few months in, to this journey, so there's a lot that I still haven't explored here. But every time I come, I feel assured that there are people here that can look after you, and that is so important to know, that as this thing progresses and further down the line, that you'll be looked after. I always feel better after having come to Dorothy House, no matter what it's for, and it's the people that really make it.